Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Discover Day live stream, April 15th, 2020. We are back with RELA Medical, RELA, on the CSE, RYMDF. And of course, we have Clark Kent, CEO of the company. Clark, welcome back again.
Thank you, Jack. Good to see you. You're looking good. The lighting's really good with you. You look like $1 million today, maybe more. You're looking good.
It's the trick lighting. That's what it is. It's an illusion. So Clark, congratulations on excellent news. You have this Canadian lab deal that you announced. I don't know, it was last night. This basically today is officially, before the
aftermarket last night. Yeah.
Okay. For the COVID testing in Canada. Can you give us some color on this? I mean, this is supposed to be like a massive, this is like a massive lab company in Canada. They do like 100 million tests a year. What are you doing with them? What's happening there?
Quite frankly, I think this is about as big as it gets as far as a single engagement or partnership can go in this country. So Life Labs is the largest, probably oldest lab company in the country. They've got over 380 facilities across the country where they collect and do tests for over 20 million Canadian citizens. I think they do over 120 million tests per annum. These guys are the big players in the field. They're in every province and they're a household name here. You can't be working in or around a business center and not be familiar and not have visited a Life Labs if you're a Canadian over the last 20 years.
And how are they using your technology? Why do they need you?
So quite frankly, Life Labs, what's great about them as far as partners for us is they've got the infrastructure and they've got the people. They've got over 6,000 employees, I think, across the country. As I say, they've got close to 400 actual labs or collection centers across the country. And they are about as when Canadians think testing, they think Life Labs, and when Life Labs thinks antigen testing, they think the FioNet. And so this is why we're in bed with these guys, and we've just rolled out this partnership. They are operating in pretty much every vertical in the testing field you can go through, whether or not that's testing businesses, testing people regularly at their locations. They have deals with airports, with airlines. They're in, they have commercial deals. This really, to us, where we went back and we talked about our initial engagement when we first started talking, which was with the GTAA at Canada's largest airport here in Toronto. Life Labs is going a step above that. Life Labs essentially brings us across the country, allows for us to launch our technology nationwide with the right people behind it. So in the case of Life Labs, you have these 6,000 employees. Now you can use that infrastructure with our devices, with our systems across all of these applications. So this is an enormous deal for us. Certainly. I would say, in my opinion, as close to a company-making deal as you could say. I mean, this right off the bat, kind of within the first couple months here, we'll be building towards hundreds of thousands of tests per month capability with them. You remember, we've talked about this. I mean, our business is, we're not selling tests. We are not the test seller. We don't have a test that we sell this person or that person. We're competing on costs and what they're doing. We are a platform that works with all tests. So if you have Abbott's, if you have Roche's, if you have whatever your test is that is okayed by the government, the Canadian government, the US government, wherever you're operating, we work with, and we provide efficiencies to not only the overall system, but also to the error checking and the protocol updates and all those things. So what does this allow our partners to do? What does this allow other companies to do, or other groups, healthcare organizations, to go out to test, to collect the data, to know that they're getting accurate results from the tests that they're doing, to know that they can instantly change protocols or update protocols for the people that are in charge of doing these tests. So this is it's a holistic solution. With Life Labs, this is like us. I don't know what analogy to use. Just quite frankly, in Canada, does not get any bigger. So, Canada's about the size of California. We know that we're a small country. I can say now with this partnership, I don't see I don't see what's left for us really to do in Canada as this rolls out. I think we've kind of got the market cornered here in so many ways, and now's the time to make the jaunt across the border and to start duplicating this in other regions. But this is the big one. This is a big one, and I think our market will start to take note of that once they do a bit of due diligence over the next couple of days on just what we're doing here.
Okay, so jumping right into the questions from Nathan. For what can you expect to generate? He's getting right to the bottom line. What can you generate as far as revenues per test? How much are you gonna make per test?
So here's what I'll say. When we're talking per test amounts, we're talking dollars. We're not talking cents. Now, I'm hesitant to go into further details because, as you know, cost basis and some of our models work on different solutions. But we're talking dollar amounts per test, not pennies here. So these are very material, deployments for us.
And you said you said you're going to be ready to do hundreds of thousands of tests.
We by June, and likely before that, but by June we'll have the capacity to do hundreds of thousands of tests, or more for that matter. Look, when you start really looking at the numbers here and what's happening, it doesn't take long to get yourself up to a few 100,000 tests when you're testing in the largest airports in the country, when you're testing in certain other places, when you're testing corporately. I mean, the whole point of what's happening here is the way to beat this thing, with the discussion of the variants, with the discussion of vaccines and their efficacy and which markets and what it means, is that you're going to have to continue to test, and you're going to have to continue to roll out a vaccine, and you may have to do that for a few years. We may have to look at a system where we're tracking this year over year, and you're going to be tested and you're going to be vaccinated, with a booster over the next few years. These things are still very early. Testing is not going anywhere. It will become very apparent. Companies like Life Labs, companies like the GTAA or airports, there's a reason they're moving to antigen testing right now. There's a reason they're doing deals with companies like us that have the background in deploying this at mass scales, right? I mean, we were talking about testing over 1 million patients before in some of the most difficult regions around the world to operate in. Now we are in our own backyard, and now we are working with, at least right off the bat now, the two biggest possible partners we could have in this country is Life Labs and the airport, and we've got them both. So it's a coming out party, Jack.
No, so basically, just for anybody that's kind of new, watching this, can you maybe explain how does your platform essentially? What is it? It allows for testing of infectious diseases at scale, right? So this is about
That's correct.
Not like again, you're not selling tests. You're selling basically. You have a technology that explains. Clark, do you have the device? Are you stuck at home? They have you locked in?
No, I don't. I wish this was my home. No, this is a part of our office, and I don't have a device on me right now. We are over capacity in our lab, so with these multiple rollouts, I'm stuck over in corporate trying to make my forehead look smaller and make sense for you and your viewers. But no, I don't have the device on me. We can definitely
I'll see the other.
Circulate a picture after. But what you're talking about is a point of sales system. It looks just like that. You put your credit card in, your credit card reader. What that does is it takes existing antigen tests, the RDT tests you hear about Abbott, you hear about Roche. These are the tests, the stick test, the swab, or you're doing a small blood sample. If you're doing antibodies, you take these tests and you run them through our system. You use our holistic system. This allows you to complete more tests faster, more accurate, and automatically transmit that data to the people that need to know what the results are, so you can be compliant with the government or whatever organization, regulatory authority that you need to be serving. That's effectively what we do. It's not, the sex appeal is maybe hard to come by now with a lot of the quite frankly I don't know what I would call some of these other companies in the space and other guys kind of goofing off and starting trying to recreate the wheel. We're not doing that. We're taking something we've proven to scale. We've shown that it works. It's been validated by the biggest and most conservative, reputable organizations in the world. Now we can say that in our own backyard. We're taking that. We're taking it to airports. We're taking it to schools. We're taking it to workplaces. We're taking it wherever you need to test a lot of people fast, efficiently, to get them into a ball game or get them back to school or back to their work or whatever it is, onto their plane, onto their cruise ship. We're testing. That's what we're doing. And Life Labs fast tracks us there, because we're not now walking around looking for 70,000 tests per month deals. We're working with the biggest player in the field. We're going to let them do the heavy lifting. We're just going to provide the technology, and we'll clip a coupon along the way, and hopefully learn something from the best in the business.
Okay, so I mean, basically, what this does, it just enables, again, mass testing at scale for infectious disease. And we're only talking about COVID right now, but yeah, this has been used around the world for, I don't know, what is it, Ebola, for like anything. And essentially,
Ebola, malaria.
To go into the database, to take that test, send it to whatever the data, wherever they need to get the data, and then also then they can track outbreaks, patterns, whatever the data,
That's right.
Whatever.
That's right. The data, and quite frankly, Jack, you hit it on the head, and oftentimes, we maybe haven't really driven that message home, just because the fundamentals really speak for themselves. I mean, at the end of this interview, I know we're going to come back to that gold standard question that you asked. I can tell you it's very simple, but we can step back, and for right now, we can say, look at the fundamentals, do your due diligence, look at the players, look at who we're deploying with, do a little due diligence, pick up the phone, send an email, try to understand our model. It shouldn't take you long, and you are going to understand pretty quickly that we have a very serious business here, and that it's only getting bigger, and there's only more value to it as we talk about what changes have happened here in the global kind of marketplace. You hit something on the head. It's not just COVID-19. So there are these other diseases that we can test for: the Ebola, malaria, listeria, HIV, dengue, all of these other things we've done well. It's documented. You can Google it. We do these things, but let's talk about the future. And the future is
COVID-22, COVID-23.
You name it. I mean, look, we can test for influenza A and influenza B. So, if you have our system at the airport, like a couple, like an airport in our region now does, if you want to do these other tests in the future because you want to use some deductive reasoning to say, okay, it might be COVID, but let's just check and see if this is the common flu or whatever it is. It's about giving that flexibility. If you have a test that passes regulatory approvals and is okayed in that region as a rapid diagnostic test, we can run it on our system. We can do 60 or more per hour. 60 is kind of the number we're going with right now. Checks it for errors. Make sure that you don't have error. A machine, that's right.
And again, so you can have 50 machines in the airport.
Look, you don't even need that many, but yeah, exactly. I mean, we were talking to a municipality here last week, and I think they had 50,000 people, and we said, 2 days and 20 devices, we could do the whole city. That was kind of just a general arithmetic. But really, what this comes out, it's just fundamentals. It's just fundamentals. It's not recreating the wheel. It's no special test. It's the gold standard. It's what's been used around the world for testing for infectious diseases. You're just using a system now that's been proven to decrease your errors, increase your output. And the big one is you don't have to have more human resources behind this, because the system is doing the uploading, the system is doing the error checking, and the people can actually focus on administering the tests the right way, and doing the swab, making sure that they follow the protocols, making sure that things, it's a very stressful place in the airport anyways. I mean, you add this in, these are stressful situations. We take that stress out of there, and I think that's been very well recorded with a couple of the groups that we've come to the table with now.
Again, one of the things that, and again, we have videos. We have kind of the video where we did a demo. You did a demo of the product, which really explained it. But part of what this is that essentially it takes, it's not, this whole testing business is not about a test. It's about making sure that test goes to whoever needs to track it at the government level, whatever it is, and then they have that data and all that stuff. So your system is basically takes that test, gets and connects it to that database, essentially.
That's right. That's right. So it's holistic. It's
yeah.
from the time of taking the test, RFID, barcode. You take the test, it's in the system, it's already in the case of the airport, the person, the patient, the flyer, the traveler.
And it enables consistency. It enables real consistency tracking because, as you said, people make errors. They get samples mixed up. This basically cuts down everything.
Exactly. And, we've already, in our deployments been catching false positives. So there's, look, we've got, it's a lot of excitement here. It's a lot of pressure. We're working with the big boys. There's major plans for what we're rolling out here. The numbers will become very apparent, I think, to the investing public and to our shareholders and the people who watch. But we are talking about really enabling for the mass testing wherever you want to in a holistic system. And now we're doing it with the biggest player in Canada. And that's what I can say.
Okay, so we got questions about numbers. People want to get to the numbers. So Dylan is asking, is there a date that revenue stream, when can we get some metrics out there? Metrics, everybody wants numbers.
Yeah, so we are absolutely going to be communicating more often now that some of these deployments have been public. Of course, we have our financials that go out as a public company, so those will trickle out as they do for companies across the space. We are going to, as I say, there's going to be a lot more for us to talk about. Whereas before we were looking at and we still are, a few contracts here and there that are not huge numbers. You're talking 70, 50,000 tests per month. These are not huge, when you consider our numbers, they're not huge accounts. What this engagement allows us to do is actually focus on deployment and not worry about chasing these accounts now. We're working with the biggest player in the field, so they can plug and play us, and we can focus on other regions. We can focus on making sure that we do what it is that we need to in order to deliver on these things, and show the clients exactly what value proposition we have. And it won't take long.
Okay, so Clark, the name of the company is Relay Medical. It's not Relay COVID, right? So you have a lot of stuff besides this technology, and and again, this is just, it's a platform that can be, multiple disease, infectious diseases. And of course, look, the trend is, kind of the cat is out of the bag. It's almost like, right after 9/11, airports, you had the all new security procedures, and that became a whole massive business. And this has not gone away, right? It's in the U.S., you got to take your shoes. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And this thing
you're exactly right.
Added. So the COVID, so this testing thing at airports, at big events, I think this is going to be, not only is it going to be here for a while, but there's definitely going to be new diseases coming in, because once these things, there's going to be variants for forever, basically. This is,
it's going to be, and look, it always goes back to the public, the people, at least of, countries in North America are really going to be expecting that the next time these systems are in place, that you will be able to get tested, that you're not going to have to not see your grandmother or your father or whomever is in an old age home for a year. That you're not going to have this deteriorating mental health because we have to lock up and everybody's got to hide in their rooms under the sheets because we don't have the infrastructure to properly roll out testing. We can do that. We could do that 6 months ago. We could do that. Now, as we thought, and thank God we did, we had the right people who have experience in this, that in the future, it's going to be antigen testing. The PCR stuff is where it begins, but there's only one way it can go, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And you're seeing it across the board. And you're seeing airports around the world build holistic labs so that in the future they can do this for other things. And we're part of that. We're part of that change in thinking. We're part of that change in this global kind of view of what our safety looks like in these places moving forward.
But I'm sorry, I kind of went off on the tangent because besides this, and because besides this technology, you have some other technologies kind of in the company. And I remember we kind of talked about that. You're essentially your focus to really build out an innovative medical technologies company, like with maybe using maybe some acquisitions, other things like what. Tell us
Absolutely.
about the other growth initiatives that you have. You've made an acquisition recently of like an AI, IoT AI component is.
Yeah, it's quite simple actually, Jack. This is not a diversified holdings kind of game. What it is we're sticking to what we're good at, and we're sticking to where we believe the market's going. And so we have three product lines. The three product lines are our pandemic testing platform, which is now partnered with the largest player in Canada and in the largest airport. We have the PharmaTrack, which is an AI platform, very similar in component in nature. Basically, we're using a camera rather than to read a test. We're using a camera to read and identify medication. And then thirdly, which is our acquisition of Cybeat, is we have a IoT cybersecurity product line or product lines which protects these. And really, where this came from, we knew about this company for a couple of years. They are kind of the darlings of the marketplace in cybersecurity in Canada, and they've made some name for themselves, in the U.S., and they've been followed by kind of key opinion leaders there. So we knew that this was an asset of value. But when we really experienced it firsthand, their value was when we got into deploying these medical devices in these critical infrastructures where you're operating within an existing highly regulated system. You've got all sorts of devices that are connected through servers, some that are connected through 5G. So you've got phones, people are wired in on their phones. You've got all these things. And there are places, many of which are well understood, where you are not protected by some of these more traditional forms of cybersecurity. So Cybeats effectively has been something that is developed strictly for IoT devices, and really from a critical nature, looking at things like the manufacturing business. You've got a manufacturing line where your business all runs automated using a network, and there, who knows, your camera in your parking lot may not be secure the way that it should be, which you've seen in several companies recently. Major data breaches. Off the top of my head, I can't. I'm trying to figure out, but I'll give you the wrong name, and I don't need that problem. But if you Google it, you Google cybersecurity IoT, it's huge problems. It's as fast as the market can be moving right now. These are where the unicorn deals are being done. You look at cybersecurity; they're getting crazy valuations. We've got virtually no value baked into our stock yet for that acquisition. I'll tell you right now, you could probably pull the office, and the expectation is this thing could be well bigger in not too long of a time than anything we have in hand right now. And I think the fundamentals show that we're undervalued. Cybersecurity is the future because the rest of the technology world has surpassed it, and there are these known gaps, and we're filling them, and we can do that firsthand with the devices that we're deploying and ourselves, and the concerns that we have ourselves. It's commercial, so these will be the next announcements on Cybeats over the next couple months. We're talking commercial announcements. This is not an R&D never plan, spinning the wheels. This is a product line. It's in the market. We're deploying it on our own assets. It'll be deployed on others, and I think the market will take note very quickly on what we have there. I know the industry already has.
So the Cybeats, essentially, what is that? That enables medical data to be transmitted securely, essentially.
It's an integrated security platform that can be put directly on the device to secure and protect IoT devices. With this, it eliminates the downtime from attacks, and as you know, I mean, cybersecurity is almost like insurance, right? It probably won't happen to you, but if it does, it could ruin you. It could ruin you. Your business could be done. There's many examples of this recently where through a little bit of a breach, you have some massive liability issue because somebody was able to get in through a crack here or there. This is unique. It's a very unique approach. It limits the downtime that happens on devices, because if you're manufacturing, of course, you can't just shut down your manufacturing facility and work out what is and what isn't a problem. This instantly detects and neutralizes when you have a breach and that's, or an attack, and that's what it does. It's a key. It's like hand in glove with everything that we do. We deal with secure information in airports, health related secure information, passenger data in airports. So firsthand, you see that this is something that is needed, and we will be putting a big communications push on Cybeats very shortly, because we do know in the midst of the COVID hysteria and action, and of course these big developments that we've had. We know that people are not yet completely aligned with how much value there is there. I'm going to predict that they're going to be very aware of that within the next kind of 4 to 6 weeks, for sure.
Ethan is asking, are you going to be offering the Cybeats as a product, as a separate product, or is it just for your internal use, for your own?
Oh, no. This is a product. So this is a product. This will go out to companies that develop IoT devices. It's not just medical. Of course, the synergies for us is that we are deploying medical devices, which happen to be IoT wireless devices, and they need that type of security. But any device, as I say, manufacturing. So smart, cars now that are cars that hook up to the internet that can be hacked into. You can read all about that. Some horror stories. So yes, no, this is a product. This is something that will be generating revenue for the company alongside our other 2 product lines that we've discussed.
Okay, Brian is asking, will you? Congratulations on the I guess the deal with this lab deal, but will you require financing to meet any of these large contracts? I guess he's concerned about potential dilution.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. At present, no, we're well capitalized. So there's no plans certainly at this valuation to go out and look for any more capital. It's not required. We have in hand what we need. I mean, we've kept our burn very low and are now really doing the scale up, which we're doing very carefully. And this is just about now deploying the devices, deploying the devices. So we've got, we announced a close of an $8.5 million financing there about 60 days ago. And we've seen some warrant coverage. We're well cashed up. So that's not something that is currently there are any plans to be doing here at these levels. I think, like any good operator, in the event that the market starts to pick up on where our valuation should be, and we get to a place where that makes sense, you always want to make sure that as you're growing effectively and you're handling your risk. And this is a huge deployment. We expect to see several others like that, several other partnerships like that. We're working on it as we speak. And so there's going to be a lot of work here, but we have what we need.
Probably the way this is actually going to work is that most of these deployments are, the business is really going to take off probably months from now, like after everybody forgets about the whole COVID thing. These tests are going to be bigger than ever. But it's not going to be front page anymore. But the money will. That's when the business is actually going to be kicking in, because everybody bought into the hype. The hype was a year ago, basically. That was the hype state.
Yep.
Now that you have real solutions deployments where where the testing is really going to become part of like travel. And I think somebody mentioned cruise lines or whatever. I mean, the cruise lines for sure. I mean, I guarantee you that will never go away. Testing for cruises, they're going to be doing this for the next 10 years.
And here's the issue: is that
space travel they're going to be doing it for.
There you go. So we'll get our helmets. Here's the issue right now, Jack, is that we look at this through this lens of North America. Most of us have been vaccinated, or a lot of us are getting vaccinated, or at least people in our family that maybe classify for certain things, or people like us that work in the medical field. But it's happening, and we have this idea that, okay, everybody's going to be vaccinated in the next 18 months, and then why does anybody need anything? We're going to be out, and it's going to be party time again. The problem is, I mean, we have open borders, we have travel. The world is a big place.
Not everybody's
vaccinated.
It only works for a limited amount of time. You have variants,
and there are a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions about that. We're learning things here. You know, we're learning in real time. And so it's been great that the media has taken their foot off the gas a little bit about scaring the shit out of everybody. At the same time, I wouldn't yet be putting your mask and hand sanitizer away. It is there's you know, you look at, I can tell you, the airports we deal with, most of them are planning on ramping up their testing to very high percentages for next year. You're talking, you know, you're talking close to a majority of your travelers, where you don't have the proof that when somebody's coming in, they've been vaccinated. You don't know that you're going to respect whatever you know, regulators on the other side that's telling you that. So you're going to need a negative test in order to let them in the country. And people, and I mean, you know, all of us jumping on a plane should say, I know people who are not vaccine people who would very possibly say, you know what, yes, I've been vaccinated. You're jumping on the plane, and you can still be a carrier, and so you're on there with somebody, and you know, you're
By
sick.
the way, there's also this thing, you know, okay, so like, you know, I know in the US for sure, you know, you buy a plane ticket, you know, there's the airline fee, right? But then there's like the security fee that they after 9/11, they added the security fee is like, I don't know, is it $30 or what? I mean, they basically, so the testing, and they're gonna probably call it, I don't know, some sort of health fee. Yeah. That's going to become another revenue stream for governments. And you know, they're going to kind of, not only is it just, I mean, not only obviously, yeah, they want to make money, but also, yeah, I mean, look, they don't want to take any chances. It's just like, why not? I mean, you know, if they're able to pass on $3,
it's a rounding error.
A security,
honestly, it's a rounding error. I mean, yeah. When you're talking about a plane ticket, when you're talking about a cruise, these are rounding errors. These numbers, and what's happening?
$20, yeah. What's the big deal?
Exactly, and what's happening, or less. I mean, depending what they want to charge for the actual you know, implementation of the test. But the best thing that's happening for our business right now is the actual costs of the individual tests are plummeting. So all these players who are coming into the market, which should have been, by the way, you know, our government would have been nice if they would have moved a little quicker on that to get more antigen tests into the market, would have opened the market up a little more to allow for people to get tested. This is what's happening now. The more tests that are in the market, okayed by the government, the better for us, because we can read them all if they're regulatory approved. And as other tests, we have a test in our portfolio that's in the R&D space that can test whether or not you're likely to be more or less ill from once you have COVID. There are all sorts of little R&D things out there, different tests that will come online. There will be different tests for variants, very likely, different things. They all work with our device. So this is kind of the world we're going to live in. And I'll tell you, I'm betting, probably not my next visit on here, but I will say the one after, which will be a good one, this will become even more clear. I think the media is going to pick up on a few things very soon. I think this engagement that we have now is a big part of it, and testing is going to be it's going to be here for a while. And unfortunately for us as a business, unfortunately for us, like everybody else, we all want to get back to the beach. We want to get back to having dinner and having fun with our families. Maybe not our in-laws, but definitely friends and families and guys down at the bar. But it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while.
So again, a bunch of people asking the same question. You know, numbers. When are we going to see some numbers out again, which are going to show? So, you know, metrics. You know, the result. You know, from tests. Something that people essentially that they can, you know, extrapolate into you know, the upside.
Let's try to put a bow on that over the next week. I think it will trickle out. I think it will become apparent. As I say, all I can really say is that we're talking dollars, not pennies, for these per test, and it's our expectation. Or I can say that we are, we are ramping up as was in the press release. We are ramping up with Life Labs to have the capacity to do hundreds of thousands of tests a month. That's what we're doing. That's just what we're doing under the banner with Life Labs. It's not including what we're doing everywhere else with agreements that we've or relationships and contracts that we've disclosed, some of which we have not yet disclosed. But you'll stay tuned. But really, I think it will become apparent very, very soon. And I'm not trying to be vague, just trying to make sure I don't break any rules here.
Okay. Clark, we don't want you to break any rules, but so we're going to wrap up here with right now, based on this new deal, based on what's happening, we've had right now, what's the, I'm going to make it simple. What's the number one reason why investors should want to own the stock today? In your opinion, it's not,
I think you've answered it. The number one reasons investors should want to own the stock today is that we've announced this partnership last night, and our market, I think, is down 2 cents the last time I checked it. So I think maybe we're talking to a bigger American audience. Just think of this as we have now got the California market covered. That's Canada. Canada is California. 36 million people, very liberal but hyper conservative on the medical side. We're now in partnership with the biggest player. There's not a better player in the country you could want to be working on, and we have a very broad scoping engagement with them. You couldn't ask for a better deal in Canada. You really could not. I mean, I'm saying from the operation side. This is as big as it gets for us for a single agreement in Canada, no question. So when you ask today, why should they be owning it? That's I would have to say the number one reason. If you're going to say overall, I'll say number two. We acquired Cybeat 6 weeks ago. None of that value has been baked into the company yet. It will. It will. I would be very shocked if in the near term here it doesn't become majorly apparent as the value that we've added. Not only, as I say, to protecting our own devices, but to the market, to the people that we work alongside of. This is a very big deal. And third, I think dollars and cents, if you sit down and you compare our fundamentals to others in the space, in the COVID space, let's just say in the COVID space, and you look at our valuation, it's hard to come up that's not undervalued, and there's all different reasons. We were really the guys that were super conservative in the beginning of this. We didn't come out making big splashes or big promotion. We stuck down to making sure we could deliver what we could. We're doing that. We're doing what we said we could. The market's starting to take notice. You see the biggest players you look at Spartan and Canada, who got $80 million from the government. They were big news last week because they're filing for bankruptcy protection or something along those lines. Things are not good. We didn't go out and talk. We did, and now we're coming out to talk, and we're showing you what we're doing, and I think we're showing you every bit of validation that you need to see that now is a good time.
Okay, Clark, on that note, I want to thank you, and we look forward to the next update.
Thank you, Jack.
When was the next big update?
We should probably look as soon as you want to see me. All here. We don't just have to talk about this. I like to talk about other things too, Jack. What video games? What do you want? I was late for this interview, so I got to look at the last. That was a good. I'm into that now. I'll be back on my terminal, probably buying a few shares there. So Jack, whenever you get lonely, I'm here. Okay, perfect. Clark, and I want to thank you. We'll see you in the next live stream. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.